Listen, you run into Uncle Dale, give his power stash a rub for 12 days of good luck. 12 days. The gorgeous Jenny White Bear, thanks for coming on in. The stunning DM, what is happening? Joshua S., Chad Smith, good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Jesse Peak, how you doing? Hey, Sean, thanks for coming on in. Mental Pancakes, good to see you. And I'm pretty caught up. Yeah. Pretty darn caught up. And let's go here. And, yeah. We got about 35 seconds before we're going to kick things off tonight. And Sherry Knight looking good tonight. Dev Rooney is our guest. She's out of California. She likes forest fires, too, because they get a lot of them in her area. And anyways, good way to support this show, everyone. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell so you know when we're going to come on live 7 days a week. And of course, the super chat is open. You're more than welcome to be like Lee and Ed and support this show that way. Let's have some fun, everyone. We got 5 seconds here before we kick things off. Let's get your horns up. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Mr. Bumblefoot, make this happen. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Dev Rooney is a longtime MUFON investigator in Northern California. She has a great book out called UFO Investigator on Amazon. What makes people who are more than just interested in UFOs become UFO investigators? I'm telling you, you have to have at least a quarter weirdo inside of you to make that happen. I know. I have a third. Is it what we want to learn? Is there any truth about the intriguing enigma? We're going to find out with Deb. She's also part of the North American Dogman project. So a little bit later on in the show, we're going to skip the woo from aliens and UFOs and go straight to the woo of the Dogman. Is it a werewolf? Is it a creature that just doesn't like being noticed? Do you have to carry a tennis ball into the forest just in case you need to play fetch with one of these? Dev Rooney, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great.
All right. You're a weirdo, much like me. You're into this stuff, and I got to fill you in here on what we're doing. I just want to fill in the audience on our forest fire situation here. So, much like last night, nothing has changed in our area with the forest fires. My area is still not under evacuation order or evacuation alert, which is really good for the studio and our home. If something does change, Lynn Wallington will come in and fill in for us. I don't expect it to change tonight, but this is going on in the future, and we also want to let our terrestrial radio audience know that if something does happen, Lynn will take over the show if I am evacuated, and she will carry on the show until I'm able to get back home. So everything is good. Everything is normal here. It's very smoky in my area, so the breathing is a little bit more difficult right now, but we're getting through it. We are trudging through, as they say, us good Canadian kids right in the middle of this crap. But nonetheless, the firefighters are amazing. God bless them for their hard work, all the helicopter pilots, the water bombers, those on the ground who are taking care of it. It's a hard piece of work right now when you're battling what they are. but they're doing an amazing job, and they deserve all the accolades. So, Dev Rooney, we bring you back in here, and thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. You know, I want to get our audience a little bit familiar with you in regards to your love for everything weird and strange.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, like you said, I'm the Assistant State Director for Northern California MUFON, and I have done pretty close to 900 cases in about 12 years. And I really love working with MUFON because their database is amazing. If you truly want to dive deep, you have their database at your fingertips. And I'm talking worldwide, not just the United States. I can look up anything as far as maybe a specific shape, an area. But here in Northern California, we cover about 45 counties, and we're divided up from north and south here in California based on the fact that this is a large state and a huge population. So Southern California, they have their own state director and assistant state director and so forth, field investigators, and they cover the 13 counties down south. Now, you may think, oh, we have 45 and they have 13, but I mean, come on, the LA area is very concentrated. So they really get a lot of cases as well. But this has been a lifelong interest of mine, and my book chronicles kind of like how what I feel it all began. And as my life progressed and I was having my own sightings, paranormal activity, just all these different things, it started to add up for me that everything is connected. So although you may think, oh, well, paranormal activity isn't UFO sightings, but it's something that when you are an experiencer, let's say, and you're having a lot of sightings, possible abduction, let's say, you're going to start having and noticing like paranormal activity, either in your home or just different things. I also started to realize that I was kind of really psychic. And that's kind of something that I ask a lot of experiencers. If I know that when they put a report in and they've had a close encounter, and that's something that I'll ask as far as if they, number one, if they had any kind of paranormal activity in the home after the sighting or the event. I'll ask things like, did you notice any wounds or scars on your body after the fact? So there's all these different things, but it's all connected. And then that's why in 2018 I started to do research about Dogman, because that was a creature that I thought was more made up in Hollywood. I didn't know that something like that could be real. So I really dived deep into the research and kind of realized, wow, there's something to this. There's a lot of people that are seeing this creature, this cryptid. And I had gotten a hold of Jody Cook, who's the founder of the NADP, the North American Dogman Project, and we started to talk, and he ended up making me the Region 1 director for the 11 western states of the United States here. And that includes Alaska and Hawaii. So if we do have a sighting and it falls within any of those 11 states, then I'll try to get some investigators out to interview any witnesses or write a report. And I don't have field investigators in every state that I oversee. This might be because maybe a lot of people don't realize that they can join this organization and be a field investigator. I don't know, but we do have a certain amount of people in a few states. And we do have some here in California. And, it's not just in Ohio or Pennsylvania area that people see these things. There's a lot in Texas as well. But we do have a few here in California as well. So,
Dev, I want to ask you, in regards to your full-on involvement, you were somebody who went completely, jumped into the pool feet first very quickly on this subject because of your own experiences. What happened to you that made you decide that this was something you needed to do?
Are you talking about ufology?
Ufology and everything, yeah.
Well, and it's in the book, but when I was 11, the summer of '69, I was playing up in the tree in front of our house, and I was always up there. I was at home up in that tree, and then one day I found myself, one moment I'm in the tree, and then the next moment I'm finding myself waking up off the grass about 6 feet from the base of the tree, kind of come into consciousness. And I was looking around, and yeah, okay, I'm only 11, but I'm not stupid. I knew I was up in the tree and I didn't fall. So it really perplexed me. I didn't understand what happened. And shortly after that, I forgot about it. But that kind of took on whatever happened at that time of my life. I really started to show a huge interest in UFOs. And that time in the late 60s, yeah, the whole moon landing and all that. But for me personally, it was like I couldn't get enough of watching, those cheesy 50s movies, Earth versus the Flying Saucers and all that. And I would just be climbing the roof and sitting up there, laying on the roof, just looking at the sky. Just, there was a longing, like I was missing someone. And as I started to grow older, and in my teenage years, I really started to go to the library, try to get my hands on anything and everything about UFOs. And there was no internet, obviously, at that time in the 70s. So other than the library and, dare I say it, the National Enquirer.
But that's true, though. You laugh about the National Enquirer, but you know what? I always wondered, do you remember in the first Men in Black movie where Tommy Lee Jones takes Will Smith over to the smut rag rack and starts pulling out the National Enquirer and all these smut mags about, that are supposed to be just made up stories, and says this is where we leak the UFO news to?
Right. And the Travis Walton story was in the National Enquirer, and also the story of Calvin Parker and his I right now I can't think of his name, but all those stories were coming out in that National Enquirer. But to a lot of people, it was just, like you said, just stories. But there was some truth to all that, as you can tell. Now, look, 50 years later or 40 years later, these people are still talking about their experiences, and they were featured in the National Enquirer. But as time went on, I really wanted to just spend my whole time researching and investigating UFO sightings. It was really hard to put your name out there without, I talked to people and tell them that I was interested in that. Of course, I got a lot of laughs because there was a lot of people that just didn't believe in UFOs. But I always knew that one day it would be a household word. But yeah, I was continuing to have sightings and a lot of different experiences. And although I knew that that was kind of unusual, because a lot of people I knew at that time, I would bring it up and they wouldn't know what I was talking about. Like, what? No, But as I started to do my cases and talk to all those people, I had a lot in common with them. And it was like I didn't want to believe that I was in the same boat as them. And in 1990, I actually subscribed to UFO magazine, and a hypnotherapist was featured in one of those magazine issues. And I realized, oh, she's right here in the Bay Area, and I was living in the Bay Area at the time. So I went to go see her because I wanted to kind of find out about a couple of things that had happened to me. But I was really blocked. I couldn't get past her suggestions of seeing more about what I already consciously remembered. And she said, well, I don't know if, you're being blocked by something or if it's you. And she just said, I got to ask you, after she brought me out, are you ready to know the truth? And I just sat there for a minute, and at that time I said, no. I was afraid. I was afraid to know what really happened. I wanted to know, and then there was another level to it.
Right. Dev, what do you think that level is? Where are we trying to get to here?
Well, I guess, what do you mean? Like,
just in regards to the research, the stories, the phenomena itself, what are we reaching for? Are we reaching for communication with those from above? Are we reaching to find out how powerful the human can be once we finally unlocked all of our own prejudices in our mind and things that have been locked up for years? What are we trying to get to?
Well, in my opinion, and based on my experiences and what's been going on in my life, I always wanted to know the truth. When I learned that I was taken, I guess I was just, I knew that something happened, but then when it came out through regression, there was a little bit of a shock because of what I remembered. But I think what it's all boiling down to is, who are these beings? Where do they come from? What's going on with them doing what they do when they take people? I think we all want to know the truth. We all want to know and who they are. Now, with disclosure and what's going on in the government as far as they're supposed to be giving us the truth, we don't need anyone to tell us they're real. We already know that, especially people like me. We see them all the time. But it's more like if the government has the answer of who they are and why are they here and what's going on with them taking people, I think that's the bottom line. Now, when I joined MUFON, I wanted to be a part of an organization that I had access to all these witnesses, because early on in the 70s, I already knew that a lot of the answers are going to come from the experiencers, the abductees. They're right there. This is going on with them. Or I should say us, because now I'm in that boat. But there's only so much that comes out when we are faced with being taken, and we remember, whether it's conscious or through regression, that there we are laying on a table, and there's these entities. We don't know anything. They're not talking to us and saying, oh, hey, well, this is why we're doing this, and this is what's going on, and this is who we are. They're not giving that information. And if they did, a lot of us are going to not remember. And even through regression, it takes several times to break these barriers to get some of this information.
I know I tried regression once on some of my experiences, and I continually got blocked. And the minute that they would try to go deeper, I could hear my guides in my head saying, yeah, that's far enough. We're hitting the brakes right here. We're not allowing this anymore to happen. And I came right out of it. And I know a lot of people have that issue too, almost like when they lock those feelings in, or those emotions in, or that memory of what happened in, it's almost like they don't want you to know what's going on. And we have 2.5 minutes before we go to break at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, I think that if the hypnotherapist is able to use certain phrases, I think that might help unlock things. And I think that's what happened with me. I think there was a certain phrase and way how she asked me things that I finally was able to break through a little bit.
So for you, do you recommend people who have had experiences to go and receive regression therapy?
Personally, that's an individual decision, because number one, you have to ask yourself, are you ready to know the truth? Are you ready to know what happened? Number two, do you have some kind of support system at home? Like, so if it's traumatic to you, and now you leave the hypnotherapist office and you're alone with your thoughts, and then you start to kind of remember things because you're thinking about it, and your subconscious, you're remembering certain other things. You may want to have a loved one to be able to, that isn't going to laugh at you, that to support you. I think that's important. So I think it's an individual decision. I always ask if someone's been if they say that they've been abducted, I don't tell people they've been abducted. No. If they tell me, look, I've been abducted, and I say, okay. And the end of the interview, I'll always say, well, if you would like a reference to a hypnotherapist in your area, I can get that for you. And then, of course, MUFON doesn't pay for that. That would be something that you would have to pay for out of your own pocket, because these people, this is their business. This is their livelihood. So I would give you the number or the contact information, and you would be able to talk to that therapist to see, it's between you two. So yeah, it's up to you.
All right, and that's a good place for us to stop right there, Dev, as we are going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour from Northern California MUFON and the North American Dogman Project. Dev Rugne is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When we come back, we're going to get into ET experiences. What's it like to experience extraterrestrial contact? We'll be back with more on Spaced Out Radio right after this. One of my guys from my daytime job just jumped into the chat room, and it's killing me here. I didn't expect him. There he is, Paulie Poopy Pants. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Hi, gorgeous Kielbasa Nova. How are you? And oh, this smoke is killing me. Killing me already. Not really, but uh-huh. I'm surprised he even knows how to use YouTube, to be honest. Smoky Mountain Wanderer, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, Polly. You know I don't talk my daytime work in here. But let me tell you, Polly, it's on tomorrow. It is on tomorrow. The gloves are off. I'm going to have a little sip of lemonade here, Paul. I'm surprised you even know how to use YouTube. I'm trying to have a nice day off today, and Polly Poopy Pants phones me up and says, Davey, you better come into work. Abe, the closest Taco Bell to me is 2.5 hours away. Hi, Bizzler. Let's see here. Who else do we got that's new in the chat room? The gorgeous and talented Tristan Stevens has returned. Let's see here. Oh, Jeremy Jones, trust me, between Polly Poopy Pants and myself, that happens every day. Every day. All right. Gotta ask you, Dev, because we have a couple of questions here that we like to ask our first-time guests here. All right. What is your opinion of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
I love it.
You're from California. Obviously you do. You guys do everything different down there. And your second question is Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Are you on Team Stump or are you on Team Rock?
Stump.
Yes. 1 for 2. 1 for 2. We could keep this interview going. If you went 0 for 2, we'd have to hang up on you, just so you know. A lot of people happy about the Team Stump thing. Hi, D. Swagger. How are you? All right. Let's see here. Who else we got that's coming in? Oh, let's see here. Of course you do, Kat. You live in Ontario. Of course you love breakfast for dinner. You guys are a bunch of sickos over there, too.
Oh, come on. You don't like pancakes at night?
No. No, there's a reason, Deb, that they're called breakfast foods. And Marie, at 3 a.m., I am either eating pizza or tacos, not breakfast in Vegas. Terry, you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so you don't have a say in anything. The only thing you got to figure out is 1967. Bim Jim, my brother from BC, how are you? Yes, that's Polly Poopy Pants, Jenny Metz. Polly Poopy Pants. Yes. And if you worked with him, you would understand his nickname. Mm-hmm. Bacon is universal, Black Rabbit. It can be used on anything. I want to say a big thank you to Marie, to Major Lee, and Ed for the awesome super chats tonight, kicking things off. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Also, a big thank you to all of our new subscribers that have tuned on in, and all the veterans who listen to this show. We really do appreciate you. We're going to get going here in approximately 5 seconds, so sit back, relax. We're going to make it happen right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Dev Rooney. She's from MUFON in Northern California, as well as the North American Dogman Project with our good friend Jody Cook. And Dev, we're going to get into some ET contact here because, I mean, everybody likes a little bit of aliens every now and again. So let's just get right into the whole alien specter. What the hell is going on with this?
Well, so are you talking people that claim to be abducted? And
how much ET contact are you seeing in your job with MUFON?
Not as much as you would think. And that might be because there are people out there that maybe are afraid to, put in a report about it. The people that I have talked to in the past, some of them had told me that when they talk to their friends or their family members, they're not believed. And they're always appreciative when we're listening to, their testimony. They appreciate it because, they've had some ridicule, and it's hard for them to, talk about this. This is a very personal thing. There's a guy that's in my book. He was abducted, and at first, when he put in the report, it was a sighting. There was missing time, and he knew it because he would say, "Oh, I went to sleep in the car," and then he found himself in a field in the middle of the night. But it wasn't until he went in under regression, and he went several times. It wasn't until then that he realized he was taken. And then he remembered a lot about what was going on once inside the craft. So, there's a fear factor when you're an adult and you're taken, and then you realize that that has happened. That compared to a child, now when I was a child and I was under hypnosis and seeing the beings that I did, I wasn't afraid. There was the one smaller one that kind of I was trying to talk to. But the one standing over my head, my face, I wasn't afraid. I was really creeped out by it. And, but adults seem to be, it's different. So adults are more, adults want to have control of their lives, right? We want to have the say about what's going to happen, what happens with us. And when something like being taken, feel like it's like against their will. So you either become frightened or you get mad. So adults, it's very different. But there is a fear factor, I would say.
Can you give us a story or two about some of the cases over your time with MUFON that you've dealt with ET contact and what's happened?
Well, it seems to be kind of the same. They talk about realizing they're laying on a table, and depending on what they see or what sometimes they're paralyzed and they can't really move, so they can only move their eyes. So if their view, like if they're laying down and at the feet there's some entities there, they can see them. And unless there's some by their head or by their shoulders, they can't really look around, like move their whole neck all the way around. But it seems to be the same. They're on a table. They see certain entities. They're doing different things to them. Sometimes they can see an instrument, and sometimes they can't. Now, there was a lady that I interviewed, and she talked about being taken since she was a child. And as a child, she was taken, and aboard what she would feel that it was a craft, there were other children with her. And she was taken regularly, right? And it was the same children. So she made friends with this one girl that she would see every time she was taken up, and all the kids were there with her. So they just gathered up all the children. But there was different. It was interesting because she was given, like as a child, they're given these different experiments or different things to do. And she said that there was these boxes, these different colored boxes, and if she touched it, it would actually take her to a different realm. And each one of those boxes that she touched that were different colors brought her to a different realm. I thought that was fascinating.
No kidding. When you say entities, what kind of creatures or beings are we talking about here?
A lot of times it's the little grays with the big eyes, and they seem to be the ones that are tasked with grabbing us and taking us, bringing us to the ship or whatever. And it's not until inside the ship that you're going to see these taller insect types, reptilian types, and the insectoid or praying mantis types, they seem to be the ones in control of what's going on. Like the reptilian types as well. But a lot of times it's the grays that a lot of people remember seeing.
What about like the mantid beings or the reptilians? Are you getting a lot of that?
No, I personally, no. The cases where these experiencers share, now a lot of times they're not remembering consciously. So, unless they go under hypnosis and share that with me, see, that's just the thing. If they contact the hypnotherapist, they're not going to, this is a contract between the therapist and them. And the hypnotherapist has, that person can't sit there and talk about what, transpired with these people. So if I had a witness and I suggested, well, I do know of hypnotherapists if you wanted to pursue that route. If you do go, I always ask them, well, if you do go and you find out additional information, would you mind sharing that with me? Because I wouldn't be privy to that information because the hypnotherapist is not going to share that stuff. So I've had a few that have come back and shared stuff with me. And then another woman that I know, everything points to abduction in her case. And she did try to go to a couple of hypnotherapists, but she was blocked. She said, I don't think I can be hypnotized. I said, well, okay, and she wanted to pursue to find out what happened. And hers is a very interesting case, but, unless they remember something consciously, I'm not going to know that information.
So when you have people coming up to you saying, I've had some sort of ET contact, is it normally the grays that they are seeing, or is it something more that that we aren't seeing? Like, is there strange cases of beings you've never heard of?
Well, in my case, when I was regressed, I saw a small being at my feet when I was laying on the table, and I felt its face was kind of scrunchy and now remember, this is my 11-year-old mind remembering what I'm looking at, and so I was trying to describe it, and it wasn't until later that I was doing some research on the internet on certain UFO cases that were not part of MUFON. Somebody did a drawing of the entity they saw on a UFO, and it blew me away because I was like, that's exactly what I saw. I saw that being, and I was just like floored because I haven't seen that before anywhere other than what I remembered. And then later down the road, this lady did a drawing and I was like, oh my God, that's it. So other than grays, and the grays can be small or taller, like the tall whites. You got the reptilians, you got the insectoids, the like they call them mantis beings, but yeah, that's creepy to me. I hate spiders, and it just reminds me. Those beings remind me of spiders. The limbs are so thin, and the shape of the head, and just I don't know. It's freaky for me. I think that's why I'm so petrified of spiders, is because of that.
Okay, so the idea that people are having experiences with all sorts of different beings, namely the Greys, the amount of people you've talked to regarding this, have they had positive experiences, negative experiences, or a healthy mixture of both?
I think it's both, because it's all about how you perceive what happened. There are, now we're talking adults now, but if they feel that they were hurt, if it was traumatic for them, being dragged out of their house, or not really dragged, but you know what I mean, taken against their will, because we all want to feel safe in our bedrooms and we're in bed. I mean, that is a very private kind of a safety thing for humans, I really believe. Because when I'm in my bedroom and I'm in bed, I want to feel safe there. And if something is coming in there that you can't even recognize as human, and then you're taken, that's traumatic. So it depends on your perception of it. So if you felt that you were hurt, they hurt you in some way physically, if it scared you and it made you mad that they took you against your will, you're going to kind of look at that in a negative way. If you feel like they were angels, I think Betty Andresen Luca, she looked at the entities as angels unaware, because she was religious, and that's what it says in the Bible. So she looked at them as angels, and so it was a positive experience. But then her case was amazing, because she was taken to different realms, and she documented all this by doing all her own drawings. So it was very amazing to me. I just love that case. But again, if you're, and I can't even say that about religion, because I would say about 2 years ago, I was reading a UFO book at work. I was in the break room, taking a break, and I was reading, having a snack, and I was reading a book, and a guy that I knew was sitting on the next table, and he goes, "Hey, Deb." And I look up and I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "What's that book about?" And I said, "Well, about UFOs." And he goes, "Well, those are demons, don't you?" And I just looked at him and kind of smiled, because I didn't say anything. I knew that he looked at it in a religious way and didn't believe that kind of thing is real, so they must be demons. And I didn't answer him. And then went back to reading. But that was his opinion. So everybody has their own perceptions and beliefs, and I respect it all, because who am I to say?
So when you're filing a report on these incidents that people have ET contact, what are you looking for to make sure that you're getting the truth of the story?
What I do when it comes to close encounters, which is 500 feet or less to the witness if they saw a craft, I'm looking at a chronological timeline. So if, let's say, we'll go back to the abduction scenario. I said, "Well, what happened? What were you doing prior to all this going on?" And they said, "Well, I just got ready for bed and, slipped under the covers." And then I'll go, "Okay, and then what happened?" So I'm trying to get a blow-by-blow description of everything they can consciously remember in that chronological timeline. And there's a case in my book that there was a sighting that this guy had in Oregon, and when I went through this chronological thing with him, there was missing time, and when I started to ask about the time, like, "What time did you get out there, out in the front with your neighbor?" And it was nighttime. And it was about 9:30. And how long were you out there before you saw anything? What were you doing out there? And so it was like boom, boom, boom. And then it was like, wait a minute. Then he started to realize my neighbor just went in the house for no reason, like, wait a minute, we just saw this thing. And, he just went in. And then we were going through this chronological thing. And he said, well, let me get back to you and ask my wife what time I came in. And it was basically really late because she had went to bed around 11:30 and he wasn't in the house. And he was only out there for about 40 minutes tops, yet 2 hours, 2 hours plus. He said, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And I didn't have to say a word because he himself started to realize it was a lot later, and where the hell was he? He was like, that doesn't make any sense. So,
do you get a lot of cases that have missing time?
A lot. We get a lot of lights in the sky. Something that looks like a star, the size of a star going by, like at night, or maybe during the day there might be an orb or something. We get a lot of those. We don't get as many cases that deal with missing time or entity experiences. I think a lot of people just don't come forward to report those things.
Why do you think that is? Do they even know it's happened?
I think because they're afraid of ridicule. They have a lot of times, if they do come forward, they will say, well, I was telling my family about this and they were laughing at me. And I said, well, what made you decide to report it now? He's, well, I kept quiet for a long time about it, but then I just figured, well, I wanted to just have it documented somewhere and be able to talk to someone that isn't going to laugh at me and have a conversation about what happened. So that's what I believe.
Okay. So for those who are having troubles trying to bring it forward, I understand the fact that, there's always that big decision of whether or not you want to bring it out towards your friends, family, because of the ridicule that goes along with it. That's a very painful subject that many of us, myself included, have actually gone through, Dev. But the idea that these reports still need to come out, how do you get the conviction of the people that this is the right thing to do?
I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I think this is very personal. What happens to people that is of the unknown, especially for people who never had an interest in UFOs, let's say, or if they did have an interest, now they feel like, oh no, I think this has to do with, me being taken or something. To come to terms with that, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal, and it was with me. And so I'm not here to make everybody who's ever had an experience, put a report in. I do get people that will email me privately, or I know someone that knew someone that just had an experience or something and said, hey, look, a friend of mine wants to talk to you. I'll encourage them to put a report in. They don't have to, but I'll encourage them, and I will certainly talk with them, and I have.
Right.
Countless times I've talked to people who have not put a report in,
Dev, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Dev Rugne is our guest tonight from MUFON and the North American Dogman Project. We'll be back with more ET talk, missing time, UFOs, when we come back on Spaced Out Radio for hour number 2. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. Is that your cat in the background?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Do you have a cat?
No. What do you hear?
We keep hearing this almost like cat crying in the background. Like I've noticed it. The audience. Do you have a dog?
No, I don't have any pets right now.
So weird. Maybe it's happening. Maybe it's happening on my end. I don't know.
When you say to go to break, I'm munching on a grape.
No, it's definitely not a grape. But I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna go check out. Maybe it's my end. Hold on. right, I am back. And I'll go like this and like this. Hello, Sadie Adler. How are you? Welcome to the show. Preston Beckett, welcome to the show. Who else is here? I don't know, but I'm getting heartburn. I always have Tums with me. Adam, because I take my dogs outside. That's why. Fabster, I heard from Vinny earlier today on MeWe. He messaged me. Just doing some personal stuff right now, and that's why he hasn't been around. Hello, beautiful Alicia. Welcome to the show. We got about 40 seconds. And, oh, Clam, you're coming in late tonight. All right, big thank you to Ibarata, to Marie, Lee, and Super Ed for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you to all the veterans who are listening to this show as well. We're going to kick off hour number 2 right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Degletition is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with author, researcher, MUFON investigator, and investigator for the North American Dogman Project. We have Dev Rugne with us tonight. And right before the break, we were talking about missing time and extraterrestrials. And now let's get into some UFOs. Dev, what kind of UFOs are people seeing in Northern California?
Well, a majority are orbs. And, here's the thing. There's triangular-shaped objects that are seen quite often. But I'm really fascinated with different shaped craft. And in my book, chapters 3 through 6, I break them down into rectangular shape, triangular shape, disc shape, excuse me. And I have a chapter that kind of has all different kinds of different things. Let me just take a drink. What I find fascinating is a few cases that have come in that are kind of like portals. Gosh, my throat is dry. But I did put, I think, one case in there in the book that a guy saw an opening in the sky. This is daylight. This is daytime. And in the hole, there was this different colors, and it was kind of shimmering. He didn't know what it was, but he was also young at the time. But there was different things coming in and flying in and out of this thing. I would love to be able to see that. A portal opening up. There was another case that I did up in El Dorado where some people were in the park and they noticed again an opening. It wasn't an opening where they could see something like the other guy did with colors and it was shimmering, but this was like craft coming out of a certain area. They couldn't see anything. It was just coming out of the sky. This was during the day. And then flying around and then flying back in. So just because they couldn't see it visually, that's still a portal. It was still an opening somewhere in that sky where they were coming in and out. I find this fascinating. I wish I'd get more of those, and I'd love to see that myself. But yeah, a lot of triangular shape, and a few cylindrical, like cigar shape. But yeah, I really am fascinated by all the different shapes. So that's why I wanted to really put a lot of different cases in there and make chapters that had those different shapes and put those kind of cases in there.
These different shapes of craft that you were seeing, whether they're rectangles, triangles, pyramids, orbs, cigar-shaped, the classic discs, whatever they may be, do we know, or do people whom you've talked to who've had ET experiences know who or which species may be flying certain craft?
Nobody's ever told me that. Again, all we have is if that person went and had regression and they remembered all this additional information as far as, oh yeah, I was taken inside, then they can talk about the ETs that they saw. The one that I was talking to earlier about where he was, actually he was in Yosemite. This was years ago, but he went to sleep in his car because he just drove up there and went to sleep in the back of his car. And the next thing he remembers is now he's in the field in the middle of the night, but the shape that he saw was circular. It was a circular craft. So, but again, a lot of people are not going to remember consciously. I mean, I forget his name now. I think there was one guy that wrote a book. Gosh, what's his name? He remembered so much consciously. It was amazing. Jim Sparks, that's what it was. That's who he was. He remembered so much consciously. I was kind of surprised. Like, that really doesn't happen too much. But, and again, I'm only dealing with Northern California. When it comes to MUFON, we get cases that are in our jurisdiction. So I'm never gonna get cases that were in Nevada or Florida. That they all those states have their own MUFON investigators to handle them. Now, what's interesting too is, like, if somebody had a sighting up here a couple of years ago, and then they moved out of California, and now they live in Texas, right? Well, that case will still be ours because the event or the sighting happened here. So just because they're now in another state, it doesn't matter because that event happened here. Unfortunately, if they're out of state and I want to meet with them at the exact sighting area, they're not going to travel all the way over here just to do that. So that's the only downfall about someone that's moved out of the area, is that, they're probably not going to come here. And if I say, well, gee, I would have loved to have, one guy in my book, that happened years ago, many, many years ago. He had a sighting here, but now he's moved out of state. But he gave me the exact coordinates. So I was able to pinpoint it and then work with him on the phone and say, was this it? And yeah, that's exactly where it happened. And I drove up there to the site. I was glad I did, because it really gave me the perspective of how close this thing was. This was a huge, massive craft. And when he talked about, it was right over the hill. And when I parked my car where he was and stood there, looked at that hill, I said, my God, it's right there. This thing was, I was just blown away by how close this was. So, anyway.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want to ask you, in regards to the craft that people are seeing, what time of day are they seeing it? Are they seeing it during the day? Are they seeing it at night? And if they are lit up at night, what kind of lights do they seem to have on them? Because this is where I think a lot of people, Dev, get confused, because people fly drones, people fly remote control helicopters. There's big time airplane sized drones that are out there, doing whatever they're doing. There's military craft out there that many people don't recognize. And, some of the videos that I've seen over the years, I mean, it's so easy to see that it's an airplane or something human due to the way the light configuration is on it.
Well, absolutely. And, it seems like it's at night because when I see the videos that come in and they are shot at night, I always view it before I actually talk to them. And then I start asking all these questions about, well, when you shot this video, where were you? Were you outside of the vehicle? Were you outside of the house? But here's the thing. I always tell them, I want to know what you saw visually. I already see the video that you submitted or the picture. I don't want to hear what you are describing in your video and picture. I want to know what you saw visually. Okay, number one, did you see it visually? Number two, it's important that they have to understand, because, and a lot of people do, and that's what's kind of nice, is they realize what they saw visually doesn't really show up on the video and the photographs as what they saw visually. And I tell them, well, that's because your eyes can pick up more ambient light than these videos. Because a lot of times I'll say, well, it looks like it's a white light. Well, it was not white. It was orangish. And they're disappointed that it didn't really come out as well as they saw it with their eyes. The colors were a little off. So that's why I really want to know what you saw visually. So yeah, there's a lot of nighttime stuff. And, here's the thing. If this was taken, if they took a video or a picture and it was really far off, I don't know what it is, and I tell them it's too hard to tell what you videotaped or took a picture of. Now, if it is significant enough where I will go out to the sighting area, I like to go during the day, even though it was shot at night, because I want to see, was there a house on the hill? Was there some kind of street lamp? Maybe somebody's lights were on in their home and that's what they took a picture of, or a video, and maybe they're moving. It's so important to be able to see that whole area in the daylight so that you can see what is beyond in the darkness.
So the idea that these craft are out there. So for every 10 reports, how many of them do you feel are legitimate UFOs?
Okay, that's a really good question because I want to make it clear. When we get a case to work on, okay, and they check off all the boxes and give us a narrative of what happened, and, all the boxes that they check have to do with the shape, the time, the elevation, of course, the date, the distance, the color of the lights, of the craft. There's so much that they're giving us. And then I'll look it all over, and then I'll start writing questions that I want to ask. The additional stuff that, as I read their narrative, maybe they said something that I may take as something else. So I want to clarify what they mean by, it spun this way or whatever. And I'll say, well, can you explain to me what that means to you? Because I'm taking it as this. Okay, well. So when I get all that information, it's important to look at the overall and then get that additional information. My mind is going a million miles an hour right now because I obviously have so much to say about it. But what was the exact question again about?
Just in regards to the idea that these craft that people are seeing, we don't really know what they are. We don't know their trajectory. We're not good at identifying things.
Right.
How do we know which ones are real?
Right. We don't. Now here's why. Because we are to look at all the evidence, which is witness testimony mainly, if there's a video or a photograph, and sometimes that may not help because you just can't determine anything with it. But we're just trying to find out, is it an airplane? Because an airplane, you can hear. Okay, you can hear an airplane, right? You can hear a helicopter. So we're trying to find out, is it something conventional? Is it an airplane? Is it a helicopter? Is it a drone? Because of maybe light, you can even hear it if it's close. One of those personal ones that people fly around. Is it a planet? Because it was super bright and it was just sitting there. Well, how long did you watch it for? 2 hours. 2 hours. But then it started to go down. Well, after 2 hours, if you're looking at the planet Venus and it's setting, yeah. So, those are the clues. So I'm trying to decide and conclude the case as what it's not. When I exhausted all of that, I can't, it's not a planet, it's not an airplane, it's not none of it. Then it's like I'm left with an unknown. So if they say to me, I want to know what it is, well, I'll say, well, it's an unknown because it's not any of these other things that I'm looking at to try to identify it. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to identify it conventionally. If we can't, it becomes an unknown. Is it a UFO? It's an unknown. What is it? I don't know. I mean, I can't say, if this object was man-made or not. I don't know. Now, if you can really look at this craft, if you saw a craft and it didn't have wings or any of the markers that a conventional craft would have, well, it's an unknown. We don't know what it is. I cannot tell them what it is. You see. A UFO is what? An unidentified flying object. Well, everybody likes to use UAP nowadays, okay?
I still hate that term, by the way.
Thank you. When you're looking at an unknown aerial phenomenon, I would put that as something like a portal in the sky. That's a phenomenon, okay? But when you're talking about a flying object, an object that's like a craft that doesn't identify as anything conventional, well, then there you go.
Well, let's see where it goes with that. I want to ask you, in regards to ET contact, are you having any reports of aliens being seen on the ground, say walking in someone's house or in someone's backyard or in the forests of California?
I don't, not lately. Now remember, I'm one of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 of us here in Northern California, MUFON, okay? And we all do cases. So a lot of times, these cases are being distributed to all 10 of us. So I'm not working all of them. And, but I do, as the Assistant State Director, I do see all that come in. I try to read the narrative of every single one. It starts to blend because I'm working my own cases, and I've got 16 open cases myself right now. So, dates and places and, everything, this starts to get jumbled. And every night I try to work on cases of my own to close them out. So I'm looking at a lot of information.
That makes sense. Question for you, coming from Swiftshot on Twitch. Do you believe aliens are ghosts?
I think some people might consider seeing a ghost over an alien. And it depends on their beliefs. And they may call them a ghost if they see something, because these entities are white, and they may be mistaken for ghosts, or vice versa, maybe. Who knows? Here's the thing: when it comes to ghosts, okay, I've had my own experiences with spirits, okay? I don't call them ghosts. I always think about Casper the Friendly Ghost when I hear that word. So it's more spirits to me, and they take on a human form. So to me, I don't see how a spirit would be an alien. But there are many, many aliens being reported as human. They look human. So I still say that there's a difference. I really do. There are some people that actually have seen like a hybrid, okay, but I don't think they've ever said they were a ghost. I think they knew they were an alien hybrid. So I just want to clarify that. And again, I want to let everyone know, when I'm talking about these kind of things and I'm giving you my opinions, that's exactly what they are. I don't think there isn't any one person in the UFO community that can say that they're an expert. I think we all are trying to gather research and data and try to figure out what this phenomenon encompasses. And I'm giving you as a MUFON field investigator, we have a manual and we're taught certain things. But I'm also talking from my own personal experiences, and that's why I wrote a book that not only includes my life and how I found out I was an experiencer, right, and how all this was wrapped up together, but it's a lot about investigations. So this is just my opinion.
Deb, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Deb Rugne is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. She is part of MUFON in Northern California. and part of the North American Dogman Project. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear. Hello, gorgeous Simply Cocoa. Please let us know what you are sipping on tonight for your beverage of choice. Jazz Ramblings, good to see you. Spanish Fly, I'll get to your question when we come back from the break. Ibarata is asking if there is a MUFON chapter in Singapore where he lives.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't think every country has a MUFON group or chapter or whatever, but he can go on MUFON.com and find out. They should have information.
Cool.
You ever find out about what that cat noise was?
No.
Huh.
No. That I do not know.
Well, it might be, I have, like these paranormal type things going on. Okay. I just went on vacation, a week and a half ago, and I was in a Victorian hotel, very old. Man, I was freaked out. Something was there. There was a presence.
Well, put it this way.
Yeah.
I can tell through my headphones that it was coming through your side and not mine. And it sounded like a cat that was really upset, like really hardcore meowing. Almost sounded like a cat crying.
Ooh. That's really interesting. I don't have any pets. I'm here in my office. There's only one other person in this house, and they're asleep. And there's no pets. And there's no nothing. So I find that interesting.
Nicholas, what is the attention to hair? Is there an inside subject joke I'm not aware of? Seems to be very serious interest about it. Just like a good set of hair. Not going to lie. High quality mustache beard combination. It's always worth it. Why not point it out? That's what I'm looking at. Here, just for you, Nick. I'll let it go here. Oh, yeah. This for you, Nick. There we go. I'll even take the hat off for the rest of the show for you, buddy. Oh. There we go. There we go. Thurston Howell III, how are you? Please update us on how Lovey is doing. Little Davy Altman. Little Davy Altman is here. Hey, Cedric. The closest fire to me, there's a massive fire about 13... Nope, I got to add in 8. About 20 miles from me. And that's south of me. That's the big one that's kind of roaring this way. And, yeah, that's a big one. But otherwise, we're good. We are good. The smell of fire smoke sucks. By the way, for the update, the lovely and talented Simply Cocoa is sipping on sangria tonight. Sangria is your drink of choice. Thank you, Simply Cocoa. We love you. Cedric, good to see you. Have an air conditioner in my house. Yes, we do have an air conditioner in the house. Judith Nemeth Almasi, how are you? Welcome to our chat room from Budapest for the first time. Let's put you up on the screen. Judith, welcome. Thank you for joining us. The lovely and talented Tony Dewhurst is here. Magnus, what's going on? Thank you to Canadian Troy Ibarata, Marie, Major Lee, and Ed Clater for the super chats. And we appreciate that. Thank you to all our new subscribers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Nicholas, you can grow your hair to be like mine, too. I highly encourage it. And use a good high-quality shampoo and conditioner. Hello, gorgeous Jordan Ashley Pettit. Here we go, everyone. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Even those Toronto Maple Leaf fans who continue to tune us in, yes, we like you too. All right, moving on, we can tell you that all of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight from MUFON, North California. We have Dev Rugne. She is also a member of the North American Dogman Project. Dev, welcome back.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing? Having
Good.
fun yet?
Yep.
Awesome. I do have some audience questions that they want to get in, so we're going to throw a couple of those in, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Spanish Fly is asking, in your research, what is the percentage of these cases being factual and not theory?
Theory. I don't know about percentage because I don't really track that. I have the ability to go into the database and kind of do a query of how many IFO cases that we've done and closed out. And I'm talking about Northern California. You could do a search by state to do that, but as far as the theory, you got to remember these are people who see something and they're looking at it and they're trying to decide, well, what is that? And then they feel that it's anomalous, right? So then everybody thinks they need a video or a picture of everything. Frankly, they just don't do it justice. And when I have my own sightings, I don't even bother wondering where my phone is or grabbing my phone, because I know that the minute I see something that I know it's unusual, and I see craft, I don't see just a light in the sky, a little star thing moving around, I don't take my eyes off of it because I don't know how long I'm going to see it for. So if you're talking theory, that is something that is not a word to use when it comes to someone that feels they saw something anomalous. Now they want to report it. So is it factual? It's factual to them. My job is to find out what it's not. So the percentage of cases that are IFOs there's a lot of them that we can identify based on what it is Like I just closed out an IFO the other night, and someone sent me a photograph privately today, and it was a little blue orb, and I looked at it and automatically I knew what it was. It was lens flare, because the picture was taken during the day of the sun. Took the picture of the sun, and it produced this artifact that is a little blue orb. If you ever watch a movie and the camera's panning and then the sun kind of glares, you will see that lens flare in movies. I see them all the time. I go, lens flare. So a lot of times people will think they've caught something because they've taken a picture of a bright light source, whether it's the moon, the sun, if there's a lamp post, it doesn't matter. It'll always produce those that little orb. And they think it's a UFO, but it's not. So that's an IFO, an identified flying object. Okay? And that's man-made. So the camera, the camera made it. You see what I'm saying?
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's get to another question here. B. Hoff is asking, do any ETs that you have heard of have goblin-like appearances, or did I see a darn demon?
Goblin. What's a goblin? What does that look like? Do you know, Dave?
Like a little,
like a
little troll?
Is a goblin? What's a goblin? Is that like that's not with horns or anything, right? I mean, that's
like a troll that lives under a bridge.
Yeah. Are you telling those little trolls that were like the little troll dolls with the hair? Something weird like that?
Take the hair off and turn the skin green or dark.
I don't know. I mean, when I ask someone to describe what they saw, as far as if they went under hypnosis and remembered it that way, or if they remembered it consciously, again, it's a lot of times it's these little white, my mind's actually going over here because in my book, the guy that was abducted from Yosemite, he sent me a drawing of the entity that he saw under hypnosis, and it looked mean. And sometimes they'll have these wrinkles that make them look old, and kind of mean or something. So it's kind of weird. And there's another entity picture in my book that another guy, the one with the big massive UFO that was by the hill, he remembered through a dream that entity, and it had the big black eyes, but it had this on the side of its eye, right here, it kind of went back. It was really weird, and it's in the book. But so there's these little tiny variations of these entities that are seen that have no hair and big eyes or whatever, but there's these little details that are a little different. And I always wondered, is that just a perception thing? Like, is that something that they zoomed in on and said, well, he came across as being mean, so maybe those features came through? I don't know. So again, we're looking at perspective, perception, and beliefs all mixed up together. It's very important to understand that, because another thing that I remember kind of understanding is there was another case in my book where it was a man and a woman that saw a craft, and when I asked the man certain detail, like, tell me of what details you remember, And then when I asked the woman, it was interesting because they were concentrated on different things. And there was another case too where there was a man and woman as a witness, and the woman was looking at the lights, but the man was looking more at the source of what he thought was the power source that flew this flying saucer, disc-shaped object. So it again, it's just perception.
I got a Dogman question for you.
Yes.
And this comes from Tony. Have there been any reports of Dogman in clothes or military gear that you have dealt with?
Not me personally, no. But I do know of cases that there were Dogman in like one of them was clothed, and then the other one looked like it had some kind of military uniform. But that's not a normal thing. A lot of times they're being seen, and they just have their hair. There's no clothing or anything.
Yeah, there has been cases of the Anubis type of sightings when I have talked to Jody Cook about this, but a lot of those seem to be coming from the Middle East, like Afghanistan and Syria and all of that type of area.
Yeah, him and I had long conversations about that kind of thing, and talked about, the whole Anubis reference. So, but yeah, what's being seen out here, like I did a report, and there was a guy that in 2017 he was on vacation, and he was going home through California up to Oregon to Washington. He wanted to stop at the Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park. Over there at the Stout Memorial Grove, this area, he wanted to stop and take his camera because he was a big Star Wars fan. So he wanted to see the Ewok scene by that tree. So that's why he went there. He wanted to make a stop, and it was around 5 o'clock in May, I believe. And so he started to walk, and he knew that there was a few people in that area somewhere because there was cars there. And I think he said as he walked down his trail, he did see a couple guys, and then they kind of went another way. So he's out there, and he said he heard what he thought were like two dogs fighting, like really bad, and it scared him. And he's looking around, and he's by himself. He's got his camera, of course, and he's looking around, and the foliage is very green out there, and he said he saw this pure black furred animal up on two legs, kind of trying to blend in with the leaves and everything. But when you're looking at green and then you're looking at black, is noticeable, right? He said he looked at it, and it had a snout with ears that were on the top of the head straight up. He said this thing was like a werewolf. It wasn't a bear. He said it scared him, just the look of it. It had a massive chest, and he said its waist, it kind of came down to a narrow waist, and then flared back out with thighs, like muscular thighs, and it was just standing there on two legs looking at him. And he started to back up, and he decided, well, I got my camera, and he just went, and then he took off, and walked away, but he wanted to kind of look back to make sure it wasn't going to chase after him. And as he walked away, he turned to make sure it wasn't coming after him, and he took another picture, and then he just got the hell out of there. So I wasn't able to meet him in the area because he lives in another state, and he worked in Alaska, I think he said. So I was not sure exactly where he was, so there was no point in me actually going out there, driving all that way, when I really didn't know the exact sighting location. But I took his pictures. I asked him, can you send me those pictures straight out of your camera? Because then I wanted to check the metadata. I wanted to make sure this was not photoshopped. And so I checked them, and the date and the timestamp matched what he said. The camera that he used matched, because all of that EXIF data, all that data in the photographs was intact. So I knew these pictures were not photoshopped. They were not manipulated at all. So I told myself, well, that proves that something was there. I tried to get a hold of the ranger station up there and talk to somebody and, leave a message type thing. Because I wanted to find out how prevalent black bears were over in that area. And when I did talk to the guy, I think I talked to him. It's hard to tell because this is a long time ago. I did the investigation in 2018, I think. But I did try to get a hold of the ranger station to find out about if there was black bear. But anyway, so was this a Dogman? It didn't look like a black bear to me, but maybe it could have been. I don't know. But it was very interesting that his pictures were not manipulated. Now, if anyone wants to look at those photographs, you can go to the North American Dogman Project.com, and they should be up there. Those photographs.
Right. The Dogman really didn't take promise and premise until Linda Godfrey's story in 1989 about the Beast of Bray Road. Now we're seeming to have incidents with this creature all over North America. It's being seen in northern British Columbia right down to Florida. And I'm wondering, were we just before, kind of pushing this creature and writing it off as a different looking Sasquatch? Or is it new to what we have seen over the last, say, 35 years?
Well, yeah, Linda Godfrey, she brought visibility to this whole cryptid through her books and her interviews and stuff. But, it's being seen all over the world. It's not just in North America. But I suspect that a lot of Dogman, Bigfoot researchers have come across this Dogman, and I actually know somebody who was a Bigfoot researcher here in California, and he was constantly going out in the field. He even showed me in person his Bigfoot castings that he made. Very impressive, actually. But he said he came across another creature. He said, he told me, you know what, Deb, I don't know what this is, but he showed me the picture. And it was black. And he said it was standing up on two legs. and it wasn't a Bigfoot. He said he said this thing, I don't know what the hell it was. And then because he didn't really know a lot about didn't know about Dogman, and I started talking to him about it all. But I think that that's what's going on, is maybe it was misidentified at first, because there's been a lot of Bigfoot researchers over time that go out there in the field for evidence to see if they can see it, film it, track it, what have you. And I'm sure that they've come across Dogman. Now here's the thing: Dogman isn't always black, so it does have sometimes gray fur, gray brownish fur. But what's not mistaken is the physique and how it eludes fear. Really, a lot of people who have come into contact. I have never seen Dogman. Okay, I've never been seen the Dogman, but the people that have, through this research, it elicits so much fear that they use the word terrorized. They become terrorized when they come across this creature at a close proximity. So there have been hunters, lifelong hunters, who have spent their whole entire lives hunting out in the bush, in the forest, what have you, armed, always armed. And there have been a few that have come across this creature, and it has scared them so bad they gave up hunting altogether. So, now another thing that's interesting too is I just got a guy contacted me from Oregon. He is a paranormal researcher, investigator, and he's been going out looking for Bigfoot. But he said somebody he talked about this dog-like creature that chased away a Bigfoot family close to where she lives. And he wanted to contact me to find out a little more about this creature and try to go out there and check it out. Well, I talked with him, and I just said, well, keep me posted, what you learn, or if you're able to, go out there or what have you. So it's pretty interesting, because Dogman and Bigfoot, I think they're in the same areas for the food source, I really believe, the deer. And Dogman will chase Bigfoot away. I had heard that many times.
Question coming from Gloria with Casual Conversations. We got about 90 seconds here. Have you seen or heard any uncommon creature sightings? You personally?
Have I heard of them?
Yeah. Have you heard any sounds or?
Well, there's different types of creatures besides Dogman and Bigfoot, but I haven't had any witnesses to that myself, where I've talked to someone that actually saw those things. But there is cases out there that and research that there are like these other. It's I don't know if they call the night crawler, or I can't remember the name of it now. It's just very weird. And then there's the pterodactyl sightings that have been here in California too.
They've happened up here in British Columbia as well. There's a First Nations reserve a few hundred miles north of me that actually believes that some of their band members have been taken as food for these pterodactyl creatures. And that the pterodactyls actually hunt people up there. But we'll get into it. We're going to get into more Dogman and all sorts of cryptid-type encounters here on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up right after the break at the top of the hour, we have Dev Rune from MUFON and the North American Dogman Project with us for another 30 minutes. Then we're going to get to the SOR Newswire and the thought of the day. But jam-packed, hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio is coming up right after this. All right, Dev, I'm just going to step out, run my dogs outside one more time, and I'll be right back, okay?
Alrighty.
All right. Just going to put you on mute there. Be right back. All right. I am back. So, Dev, when we get to the commercial at the bottom of the hour, just stick through, and I will say a proper good night to you before we log you off, okay?
Yeah, okay. And then see this right here? Can you see this? Let's see. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, that is what I was trying to say. There's
Yes.
a thing called, this is a cryptid, or it's a creature, the Fresno nightcrawler.
Yes.
This is actually a wooden statue, and I don't know where this is, but I always wanted to find out where it was because I'd like to go check it out. But we could talk about that.
Sure.
It is very weird, very, very weird, this thing. And people can actually go and look at the video of this thing.
Yes, that video is very, very weird.
Yeah. And I'll talk. We could talk about that.
Yeah, we'll
when
talk
we go
about it.
back.
We'll talk about it. We got 1 minute here, so we'll talk about it then during
Okay.
the show. Meatloaf's good to have you back. The man who would do anything for SOR, but he won't do that. We don't know what that is. All right, we're back in 20 seconds. Thank you to Troy, Ibarata, Marie, Lee, and Ed for the super chats. Really do appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you to all the veterans who are listening to this show. We love you. And all of our regulars. Here we go with hour number 3, everyone, in 3 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears, especially if you're listening in on one of our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Deglutition. Deglutition is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, author, researcher, Dev Rooney is with us. She is one of the heads of MUFON in California, the northern part of the state, as well as part of the North American Dogman Project. And right before the break, we started talking about night crawlers of Fresno, California. This is a real thing. Deb, tell us about the video that was filmed a few years ago.
Yeah, there's a video, and people can Google it to pull it up. But this was taken in 2007, and the guy was pretty frightened by it. And there's a paranormal investigator, Victor Camacho. He analyzed the surveillance footage because obviously this happened. I think it happened in the middle of the night, but it turned out that whatever this creature, it's so strange. It's I think it's like around 3 feet tall, but it just has these legs. It's so strange, and they tried to find out if this is a fake video. I guess it was on that show, Fact or Fake Paranormal Files. They tried to, I watched that actually. They tried to recreate it in so many different ways to see if they can, catch the fact that this was a faked video, but they just couldn't recreate it. no one has to this day determined what it was. But I encourage you guys to, if you don't know about it, and you haven't seen the video, to check it out. It's just strange. No, and this is here in south of me in Fresno, California. But yeah, that's just one of the very interesting and unusual cryptid type things that have been seen.
What do you think this creature is? Do you think it's somebody on stilts? Do you think it's an actual cryptid type creature of the area?
Well, that's just it. Victor Camacho said that it was approximately 3 feet tall. So there was nobody on any kind of stilts. Like, if you look at this thing, I don't, when we're looking at something like one of the beings that everybody sees, the little grays, well, they have a head, they have a torso, they have arms and legs, okay? This thing just looks like, I don't know, just legs. And this is freaky. I have no idea what's interesting is I haven't heard of anyone talk about seeing this thing lately. I mean, this was back in 2007, and now it's 2021. If this was a real creature, it either came in from another dimension or somewhere, but I'm not hearing about it, in this day and age. So I don't know. I don't know if it was just, people have these theories that all these different types of beings are coming to, the earth, visiting us, and there's supposed to be all kinds of different types. So it could be just, this is a different type, if this is a true entity, creature type. But it's just freaky.
How often are these seen?
This thing?
Yes.
This night crawler?
Yes.
No. I don't know if anyone has seen it. I mean, I know that there's this video that this guy captured. I think there was another person that claimed to have seen it, but that was back then. I haven't heard anything lately. Mm-mm.
What other strange creatures have come your way?
No, I think not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, I think I brought this up to my state director, Ruben, that there was somebody claimed to see a pterodactyl type bird over by a casino, kind of northwest of me. But other than that, I haven't heard anything else. Your Bigfoot, your Dogman.
Now, with California having the same problem as British Columbia with a lot of forest fires, do you think this has made the move on Bigfoot and Dogman into different territories than they've been seen before?
Well, quite possibly, yeah. I mean, if the food source has been moved, they're going to go, like if there's a forested area that was burned, and all the deer and all the animals have fled, they're going to go wherever the food source is. And it's important, too, that, Dogman has been seen in areas that have some kind of water source, whether it's a river or a stream of some sort. So it's just like anything else. It needs food, it needs water, but I really believe that they can come interdimensionally.
Really, eh?
Yeah, because there has been reports where I have read where someone has seen Dogman in the field and watched it walk behind like a tall bush, but he was waiting for it to come out the other side, and when it didn't, he started to take a couple of steps to see, well, where did it go? And when he reached the bush area that it went behind, there was nothing there. But he said he didn't see it exit the other side. He said, it was just gone. I really believe that they could come in interdimensionally.
Strange. So that does lead to the question and the wonderment of whether or not Sasquatch or Dogman are some sort of interdimensional type race or have those capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been seen in proximity with UFOs. I've actually read cases where there was a UFO that was seen, and then there was a Bigfoot that was seen, and then there was other times where a UFO was seen, and then there was a Dogman there.
Tell me that story. What happened there?
Let's see. The man that I talked about, who was a Bigfoot researcher, he had said that he got a call from someone out here that lived kind of rurally, and there was a UFO that was seen, and shortly after that there was a Bigfoot type creature, and I believe that he had contacted Ruben because he realized, wow, there's UFOs and Dogman, Bigfoot being seen together. So he wanted to collaborate with Ruben and kind of be able to, like, we would be interested in, obviously, the UFOs aspect of it. And in his case, he was interested in the Bigfoot aspect. So that's kind of how I met him, was through Ruben, my state director. Because we realized, yes, these things are related in some way, somehow.
Weird. So you do believe there is a tie between UFOs and Bigfoot. What do you think that tie is?
I don't know. I haven't had, I myself have not worked a case where I had a witness that saw a UFO and a Bigfoot, because what I just told you was something that someone else, as a Bigfoot researcher, was contacted because of the Bigfoot, but they did see a UFO in conjunction with that.
Do you think extraterrestrials have an interest in this creature?
I don't know if they're working with them or I don't know. I mean, it would be just speculation on my part.
Nicola has a question here. And because we often have Butch Witkowski on once a month to kind of go over all the weird and strange, and he's been checking out this bipedal canine that's been seen in areas around Pennsylvania. So Nicola here is asking, do you think there is a difference between Dogman and this bipedal canine?
I believe that they're different types. So it's one and the same. So the Dogman It can run on all fours, but it can run on two legs as well. So the bipedal, that's where that comes in to play. Now, it's interesting, Butch Witkowski, I'm also on his team.
Love Butch.
Yeah.
Our job when he is on here once a month is to get him as cranky as possible.
But no, there are different there are different types of Dogman as far as like some of them might have their legs are canine-like, so they have that backwards looking, those dog legs. Some don't have that, depending on some of the facial features are a little different as well. Some look more like a German Shepherd, kind of a longer snout. Sometimes the eyes are different colors. You know what's really fascinating to me is that when a Dogman is on all fours, it has been reported that when it starts to stand up bipedally, there's this popping of the joints when it does that, and it freaks people out. I don't know what that is, but I have come across a lot of research that talks about that. Witnesses hearing that popping sound when it starts to stand up from being on all fours. And these things, they can run as fast as a moving car. There's this one story I read where this guy is in I don't know if it's a truck, and he's driving down the road, and it was at night. He had the window open, with his arm hanging out and at the steering wheel. When he sees this creature, and it is running alongside him, and the look, he said it scared the hell out of him, and he floored it as fast as he could. And that thing could still catch up with him. And it would look over at him with this smirk, like, you can't run me in your truck or something. It has an intelligence that really is noticeable to a lot of these witnesses. Isn't that something? You think that you're so safe in your car, you could just outrun some animal, and this thing can keep up with you, no problem.
My goodness.
On two legs.
Sounds like a skinwalker as well.
Well, I think a skinwalker is more where the Native American lore was that it was a transformation from a man to this creature. But I don't think that all these Dogman sightings are that. I don't really think that is a transformation from a man to this thing. But that's just my opinion.
Let's get to another question here, if you don't mind. And this one comes from, where was it? Geez, I just had it. This one comes from Nikki. And Nikki, I apologize. I'm trying to find it here. My mouse jumped here. All right. What kind of reports have you received from Mount Shasta and the areas around it? Because there's always some sort of weird stuff happening there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area. I'd love to go back up there. They had a fire recently, so I stayed clear. Close to the Siskiyou area. But Mount Shasta, there is a lot of people that have taken video and pictures. There's a lot of sightings up that way. There was a woman that put in a report probably 3 or 4 years ago, and she talked about at night, this one particular night, I guess, she saw these two objects. They were more of like little orbs, they're lights. One was a blue color and another one was a red color, I think. And she said they were shooting beams at each other. They were having a war. And she was kind of like, wow, you know. So I talked with her, I interviewed her and got all the information, but she wanted me to come up there. And at the time, I was working full time. I was just too busy to get up there because from where I am would take about 3.5, 4 hours. And, you know, when you're a MUFON investigator, you don't get paid. You know, that's your gas. If you go that far and you need to spend the night somewhere, that's your money to pay for the hotel. So, you know, this is a volunteer position. And I just couldn't break away and go up there. And she's a little upset that I wasn't able to come up there and hang out in the middle of the night, I guess. And, you know, I would have loved to, but that doesn't mean that we were going to see the same thing that she saw that particular night. But it was nevertheless very fascinating because there have been, when I was the chief investigator up in Oregon, MUFON, another person saw these craft or lights shooting at each other, like having a war, you know. So this is not uncommon as far as seeing. And in fact, that's right. Another case I had here in California, it was a little bit historical. This happened a while back, but she too saw two lights that were. There was more than two lights, and they were shooting beams at each other. And I find that stuff very fascinating because they're shooting at each other. Why? What's going on? Why are they fighting like that? You know, it's not us. It's not like we have a plane up there and they're shooting at a plane. No, they were shooting at each other. These craft, these unknown. Yeah. So I always wonder, well, why are they warring, and what's the reason? You know, why are they doing that to each other?
No idea. Dev, we have 2 minutes left with you tonight, and it's been a show that's flown on by. Very interesting knowledge that you have. It's been absolutely incredible, and I want to say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Let everybody know where they can find your book, as well as get a hold of you for further information, whether it's about MUFON or your investigations or Dogman as well with the North American Dogman Project.
Yes, you could get my book on Amazon. The title is UFO Investigator, A Personal Look into Circumstance, Investigations, and Discovery. And to get a hold of me, you can go to northern.california.mufon.com, and there is an About Us page. I'm featured in there, and my email address is there as well. There's a little blurb in there if you've seen any kind of cryptid here in Northern California, to contact me as well for that. So I very excited about my book being launched as of June 2nd. So getting a lot of really great feedback, and thank you anyone out there that has put up a review. They're looking great, and I totally appreciate it. So thank you, Dave, for having me on. I had a great time. It's
been a lot of fun, and we're glad that you were able to come on here too. We had a number of people asking to bring you on the show, so the fact that we were able to get you on really, really means a lot. Dev Rugne, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Very much appreciate your time and your hard work and your volunteerism in this field to try and make some answers out of the millions of questions that many of us have. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is jam-packed, and we'll have it all for you next on the mighty SOR. Good job, Dev. Good job. Appreciate
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate that.
Cool.
All right, you take care. I'll let you get some sleep. I got to go get ready for the news. But thank you for coming in, okay?
All right, you stay safe out there.
Will do. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Dev Rooney, everyone. Dev Rooney. Life Dweller, my cats are upstairs sleeping. That's where they are. Oh, goddamn headphones are driving me nuts. Guys having a good night? Time to trim the old beard again. I'm not going to lie. The air quality sucks around here right now. Usually we get really nice, clean air. Not right now. I had Chinese food for dinner, which, you know, Chinese food always sounds really good, like a really good idea. And then you eat it. And then, like, 28 minutes, it's always 28 minutes after you eat it, you're like, why the hell did I do that? Why did I do that? How stupid could you have been? Oh. Where has to go? There it is. Oumuamua, how you doing? Good night, Cryptid Denise. I have a fan. I have a fan. See, here's my little fan. It feels good. It feels good. It feels good. Cool down my ears. I'm happy with this fan. Don't care what you guys say. I'm happy with it. It makes me happy. How do we send you a present to put in the background? You email me at Dave, or hit me up on social media, or email me at dave@spacedoutradio.com. Thank you, Life Dweller. Yeah, these ones look really good. Oh, what does Shirky Poo say? About 1/8 teaspoon of baking soda in water will fix your stomach right up. I have Tums. Doing good. All right, 20 seconds here. Thank you to Troy, Ibarata, Marie, Major Lee, and Ed for the super chats tonight. Really do appreciate it. And we're going to get going here in a few seconds, everyone. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where they have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. You know, Captain Shirk has us all set up for the news tonight, so let's get to it. Is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes pretty incredible. So People magazine released its celebrity list of 100 people and 100 reasons to love America in 2021. So of course you have your country singers, your actors, your sports athletes. However, did you think that a UFO researcher would make this list? Yeah. At number 66 on the list of 100 by People magazine, Luis Elizondo has made the list. So the quote that kind of goes along with it reads this: "Once viewed as something discussed only by crackpots, UFOs have recently gone mainstream. And one of the people responsible is Luis Elizondo. From 2010 to 2017, he served as director for the Pentagon's secretive Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The amount of stigma and taboo that was placed on UFOs for so long has really paralyzed the conversation," said Elizondo, who investigated sightings by fighter pilots and other military personnel. "But these things are real. We don't know what they are yet, but they are real, so we should probably take them seriously." That's pretty cool. Let's see who else is on this list here, if we scroll on, just to see. Okay, the company Etsy made the list. All right, Cameo made the list. Levain Cookies. All right, the Empire State Building. Guy Fieri. Celebrity mini-me's like Tiger Woods golfing with his son Charlie. All right. Kim Ng, the Chicago White Sox general manager, or now she's the general manager of the Miami Marlins, pardon me. Yeah, lots of people. Olympics, Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, Luis Elizondo making people's list. People magazine, that is. All right, let's get to a little bit of a stinky conversation here. I don't know why Shirky Poo would put this one in. This is so against my betterment of journalistic integrity. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison would like the world to know that he did not crap his pants at McDonald's after attending a rugby match in 1997. Why would Morrison bring up such a thing? It's better than talking about the COVID-19 situation in Australia right now. The Prime Minister's alleged pants-crapping incident became a meme in 2019, and street artists had a field day, even putting up a commemorative plaque at the McDonald's location in Engadine, New South Wales, where it supposedly happened. But the Prime Minister told an Australian radio station and a radio show called Kyle and Jackie O that he never soiled himself in a McDonald's. As the Australian newspaper notes, the discussion was largely about typical stuff you might hear from a politician on a radio before things started getting weird. He says, "Can I clear up one thing?" Morrison asked the host before referring to the incident as the biggest urban myth ever. "That Macca thing," one of the radio hosts asked, using Australia's slang term for McDonald's. "That you pooed your pants at the Engadine McDonald's," the other host chimed in. "It's complete and utter rubbish," he says. "I found the whole thing incredibly amusing. And we've always joked about it amongst our team the year as we've driven by it, asking, 'Do you want to pop in for a Big Mac?' insisted Morrison, a man not known for his sense of humor. Meanwhile, Australia's two largest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, are now in lockdown over a surging coronavirus pandemic and low vaccination rates against COVID-19. After long stretches, don't worry about the COVID. Let's get back to the poo incident here. Come on. We've had enough of COVID stuff. Let's just get to it. Yeah. And anyways, after a big COVID rant, the story goes on to say, no wonder Prime Minister Morrison would rather talk about allegedly crapping his pants. It's less embarrassing than his vaccine rollout. There you go. A woman in England is up Craps Creek with local police. 50-year-old Amanda Lee from Cheshire has been treating her town like it's her very own private bathroom for years and has been ordered by police to now stop. All right? So, Lee has been convicted 15 times dating back to 1996 for offenses including antisocial behavior, harassment, public order, and abusing the emergency system. Police issued a criminal behavior order which prevents Lee from doing these 5 things in the exclusion zone around her town. She cannot be in possession of alcohol in an open container. She cannot use abusive language or threatening behavior in a public place, nor use a dog to threaten and intimidate people. She cannot contact police on an emergency number 999 or 101 unless she has a genuine reason to do so. She can no longer urinate or defecate in any open place, public or private. And there's also a street priest court that she is no longer allowed to enter. She has persistently shown no consideration at all for her bodily actions. Yet her offending has caused on others, Police Constable Alex Parker said. There comes a point when you have to say enough is enough and take additional action to protect the community and businesses in the area. If Lee breaches her terms of her CBO, she could receive 5 years in jail. Who gets addicted to pooping and peeing in public? That is a weird fetish. A weird fetish. Don't you think? Cocaine, disguised as charcoal, with a potential street value of up to $41.4 million, has been seized in a joint operation between the Irish and Dutch. The drugs were found inside 2 shipping containers from South America, that arrived at the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands as part of what Irish investigators believe was an attempt to import up to half a ton of cocaine to Ireland. According to a press release from the Garda Síochána, Ireland's National Police and Security Service said, inside the containers were 2,000 bags of charcoal, thanks to the use of an X-ray scanner and police dog sniffers, or sniffer dogs. Yeah, sniffer dogs sounds better. Some of the bags were found to contain cocaine. Now, the Forensic Science Ireland later confirmed that cocaine was present, but it will take a number of days and perhaps longer to extract the cocaine from the product within which it is concealed. If the full shipment of cocaine has been discovered, it could have a street value of $41.5 million. The containers are said to have arrived at the Rotterdam port a number of weeks ago. Arrests are expected in the near future as part of an ongoing investigation. This is a significant development in the Garda Síochána's effort to disrupt and dismantle organized crime groups suspected to be involved in the importation of cocaine and other drugs into Ireland, said Assistant Commissioner John O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll emphasized the significant international dimension of the operation and the importance of cooperation within the law enforcement community within Europe and further afield. Michael O'Sullivan heads the Maritime Analysis and Operations Center, which contains anti-drug trafficking operations by 7 European Union countries, including Ireland, said the seizure was a massive seizure that will deal a huge blow to organized crimes and the groups involved. You know what? That's crap. Probably 100 containers got through before that one did. All right, you just got tipped off to that one. I hate to say it, but these gangsters, they're smart. They're smart people. Right? They know how to get it through. You caught one. You didn't disrupt anything. There'll still be people dying from this crap tomorrow. Spice company McCormick will pay taco lovers $100,000 over 4 months to innovate new seasoning mixes and dig deep into all things taco. This is a dream job, to be absolutely honest. Do you eat tacos like it's your true calling? McCormick questions in an overview of the job description. Now it could really be. McCormick is on the lookout for its first ever Director of Taco Relations, and we're calling it all taco fanatics to submit. The Director of Taco Relations will keep tabs on social media, taste test and consult on recipes, and travel across the United States, because we always get ripped off here in Canada for these kinds of dream jobs, to search for the latest trends over a 4-month period. Payment is $25,000 per month and requires availability to work up to 20 hours per week remotely from September to December. Interested applicants can submit a creative video no longer than 2 minutes showcasing their personality and passion for tacos and why they are best fit for the job. The deadline to submit an application will be next Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Us Canadians, we always get ripped off from these dream jobs. We really do. Now, this is just disgusting. All right? This is gross. You know, I love my ice cream. I do. But taking it to this level is just an abuse of ice cream power. Brooklyn-based Van Leeuwen Ice Cream has churned the cheesiness of Kraft macaroni and cheese into their ice cream to create the Kraft macaroni and cheese flavored ice cream, according to a Kraft Heinz company statement. Gross. Disgusting. We know that there is nothing more refreshing on a hot summer day than ice cream, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese Senior Associate Brand Manager Emily Violette said in a statement. That's why we wanted to combine two of the most iconic comfort foods to create an ice cream with the unforgettable flavor of Kraft macaroni and cheese we all grew up with. In other words, you just ruined ice cream as well. As big fans of Van Leeuwen's, we knew they'd be the perfect partner to destroy ice cream with. Not only does it taste delicious, allegedly, but it also made with high-quality ingredients and contains no artificial flavors, preservatives, or dyes, just like our disgusting Kraft macaroni and cheese, Violet added. I may have thrown in disgusting into that comment, just so you know. The macaroni and cheese maker, which merged Heinz with Heinz 6 years ago to form North America's third largest food and beverage company, announced the rollout of the limited edition ice cream earlier this week to coincide with National Macaroni and Cheese Day. The limited edition ice cream had an overwhelming response, probably a vomit, according to an Instagram post. It is already listed as sold out. That's because people are probably throwing it right in the garbage to get it right out. Yeah, I can't even go on anymore. This just disgusts me. You know when you get that jolting feeling in your throat that you want to vomit. That's the one right there. Horrible. Horrible. Just, I'm disgusted by it. If you're ever going to break into your home or have someone break into your home, you hope it's this person. One of the worst surprises you could get is to come home and realize someone has broken in. At worst, you might have lost thousands of dollars worth of stuff or run into an armed burglar. Even if you've lost nothing, you probably never trust a lock again unless the person who broke in is Luis Angelino III. Angelino from Barrington, New Jersey, worked as a clerk at a liquor store. However, to make ends meet, he also runs private cleaning gigs on the side. One day in June, Angelino was on his way to clean a new client's apartment. However, he ended up at the wrong address and unknowingly broke into someone else's home. Of course, the residents of the home were shocked that someone broke in, but they were also incredibly confused when they realized that the place was now impeccably spotless. So, how did this happen? As mentioned, Angelino cleans his friends' houses for a bit of extra cash. In June, he managed to get a new client through word of mouth. A friend's coworker hired him to clean his place. The client gave Angelino an address in Cherry Hill and said he left a key under the doormat. However, by mistake, Angelino wrote down the wrong house number. He arrived at the house he thought he was supposed to work on with his cleaning gear. He checked under the doormat, and what do you know? There was a key. Really, you can't blame the guy. Everything matched with the client's description, so he naturally assumed he was at the right place. Angelino entered the townhouse and dutifully got to work. Spent the next 2.5 hours cleaning the place, scrubbing the stove, and mopping the floors. After he was done, Angelino thought he'd spent a moment playing with the 2 cats that were running around. Then he got a phone call from his original client. The man on the phone asked if Angelino ever got around to cleaning his place, since it looked no one had touched it. I said, I'm literally in your living room right now playing with your cats waiting for you to walk in. He's like, Lewis, I don't have any cats. In that moment, Angelino froze. His heart dropped. He was like, where am I right now? What is going on? Angelino's friend came over and wrote a quick apology to the note to the home's residents before the 2 took off. Those real residents are Beth Motzel and her husband. Motzel said that she received a panicked phone call from her husband on the day when he got home. It was easy to see why Motzel's husband might have been confused. The couple had been renovating their home, so they expected it to be a mess, but everything inside was suddenly squeaky clean. He called me in a panic. He said someone was here. They cleaned the whole place. Her husband told her that the person had left a strange note on the door. It said that the mysterious cleaner had accidentally entered the wrong house and included a name and phone number. Motzel contacted Angelino's friend, who put her in touch with Angelino. The 2 exchanged text messages to clarify the situation. Hi, my name is Luis, and I'm the guy who accidentally cleaned your apartment. I just wanted to say I'm so sorry. She was understanding, though, and said she felt bad for him since she knew the place had been a total mess. Motzel even said she'd keep Angelo's number on file in case they ever needed a cleaner in the future. The accidental break-in might have just turned into a business opportunity. He shared his story on TikTok, and it blew up. He's now considering starting an actual full-time cleaning business. Angelino's hoping that the viral video could help him bring new clients. The secret cleaner man may also receive a catchy new nickname that would make perfect for his business name, too. The commenters on his video have dubbed him Cleaning Fairy. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. All right. I think it's time to get to the SOR thought of the day. What do you guys think? Let's do it. Thought of the day happens every night at this time, where we ask for a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Where is it here? If you could introduce aliens to this world, how would you do it? Let's start with Dirty Fylth. Ghost pepper hot wings and vodka shots. Well, that's nice, Fylth. Canadian Joe. I wouldn't. Look around at the world presently. Humanity is not ready for contact with E.T. Dan. Based on the behavior of nation neighbors, I'm looking south. Maybe Independence Day style? Braindead says Sesame Street reruns. Rich Series of videos allowing for the digestion of information with an eventual press conference weeks and months later. Davey, I would get them listening to an episode of Spaced Out Radio. Yes. And Walker says, on Spaced Out Radio, of course. Of course. That's the best place to do it. Because you know, we like our aliens around here. And Graham, by the way, mentions, professionally and with respect, the Leoniridans asked me for this. All right. Cool, Graham. Appreciate that. Let's go over to Facebook. And let's see who wants to respond here. Alex, with panache. If those Grey's exhibitionist weirdos won't wear shirts, I'm not doing it either. Shin, as odd as this sounds, literature, Poe, Jules Verne, H.P. Lovecraft, and other various authors. Let's get to another one. Darren, not sure that I would, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't want the feds involved. Should be handled by civilians. Instead of an area packed full of press, I'd have one camera making the live feed available for anyone. Everett, I'd use their names. Lori, not in my area, would be afraid for the visitors. It's too redneck, knuckle-dragging, shoot first and ask questions later, and they would see how much the bodies are worth. I'd tell them to run. Nancy, I would start with the children. They would not be afraid and would welcome them. Mike, TV seems to work well for humans. Tim, I'd sit them down in front of the TV with a remote control for 24 hours, then ask which channel did they like the best. Michael, Earth, bed, and breakfast. Very nice. Nikki, honestly, Dave Scott, I'd likely move first, lock down my location to make it incredibly hard for anyone to access me physically, install mass security, weapon up, and have multiple phone numbers or burner phones, then set up a few social media pages for certain subjects. Bring them on Spaced Out Radio. Lee, I'd introduce them to our natural world first. Sean would offer them a beer. Chris, I don't believe that this is entirely necessary because they are likely already here or have at least studied us long before they made contact. Scarlett, a task force with rounding them up, human and child traffickers, an ultimatum made to oppressive regimes to free their people. Jessica, I would first teach about the invention of the doorbell and how to knock. That's very nice. Very nice. Thank you to everybody who participated in the Thought of the Day. We will do it all again next time because that's what we do on this show, on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you to Captain Shirk for a wonderful SOR Newswire. And, of course, to Dev Rooney for coming on in, talking UFOs, aliens, Dogman, and other cryptid creatures. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone listening in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.